Pacific Cascade Legal, and I'm here with our founding attorney, Louis Landerholm, to talk about things you should not do in a divorce case. Hey, Louis, how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing well. It's good weather. It's a good time to talk about this subject. So
Yes.
we often tell our divorce clients, what they should do. But, today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a list of things that over the years we've seen that you should absolutely not do. And before I start to talk about it, I just wanted to let you know I showed a couple of judges, this list, and they just shook their heads and they all started to say, I've seen them. And when they do them, it rarely goes well with the person who does it. So
Yeah.
let's kind of start with that. And first thing that people should not do, or should they, intentionally quit work while the divorce is pending.
Yes, they should not do that.
Well,
Um, the reasons the reasons are, or the main reason is that in a case, in a marriage case, or even in an unmarried parent's case, when child support is in play or spousal support is in play, or for any other reason, the definition of income for those cases is potential income, not actual income. And so if you go and intentionally quit your job, then the other side is just going to say, well, they intentionally quit their job, they can make that much money, and we're going to use that amount as the number for support purposes anyway. So you're going to have that number be counted for your support calculation, and you're not going to have a job to pay it. So it's one of the worst things that people can do, and just sets a case off where a judge is not going to, not going to like it. You're going to get the book thrown at you, and not to mention you're not making money. So, I mean, I tell people all the time, go make as much money as you can because you're getting, the longer half of the money as it is. And so it's always better to have your own source of income, even if you're getting some support. You don't want to rely on that other person for support, for as long as possible, because they may not have a job. They might not be able to pay down the road. So it's always better to have your own job and making as much money as you can.
yep, yep. And that goes for both sides, like you said.
Yeah.
So here's another one people do. Move all of your belongings out of the house while your spouse is at work.
Yeah. I mean, there these are things that we talk about in consults a lot and beginning of cases, the things of don't do things that then sets a case off to be as contentious as it possibly can. That's a good way. Or moving your spouse's belongings out of the house into a storage unit or into a pod, or doing these things to like lock people out of their things. I mean, that's the best way to buy a really nasty, expensive case. It's way better to talk about it, negotiate it. If you have to get attorneys involved to deal with it appropriately, it's going to be less costly in the long run, and it's going to set things up to succeed. So, we're trying not to piss the other side off, so that they don't then want to come back and exact revenge somewhere. So, the more reasonable everybody can be, the more cost effective and the easier their case will be.
Here's one that uh, especially raised the hackles on a couple of judges, and it was hack into your spouse's email or put a tracking device on their car.
Yeah. I mean, there's other problems, right? There's other potential criminal problems with that sort of thing. So that's a good reason not to do that.
Yeah.
But just in general, yeah, don't stalk people. That's good advice. That's good advice for all people across all areas of life. And in a case, it doesn't help when you do things like that, or install Find My Phone on the other person's. And I mean, all of that just tells a judge kind of what they're working with, and it's not good for your case.
Yeah. I mean, so far all these things seem to be bad in that it makes it more contentious because it ticks off the other side. It makes it harder to win if you have to go to court because it ticks off the judge, and it makes it harder for your own attorney to try to clean up the mess.
Yeah, because then all we're doing is damage control at the beginning until we can get to a place to get things to calm down.
Yeah. Yep. Here's another one that, again, I was talking to a judge, and she sort of suggested this one to talk about. It's get extremely drunk and then fill in the blank.
Uh, I mean, anything that comes after that is going to go poorly. Um, in the middle of a case, whether it's texting or calling or showing up, or I mean, driving, or there's no good outcome when you start with the get extremely drunk part of things.
Yeah, especially
Um,
in front of the kids.
yeah, especially in front of the kids. There's lots more problems there. So, um, I would say if people are going to do that, go do that on your own time in a place without technology, and just stay away from people and
I
don't
love
drive.
it. I love it. It's never good when you have to hire two different attorneys at one time.
Oh yeah. Not only is it expensive, but there's a lot going on that people's worlds get turned upside down real fast.
Yeah. Yep. Sort of similar, but not quite so crazy. But the other thing you shouldn't do is post about your divorce on social media.
100%. Stay off of social media other than just normal happy pictures of you and the kids or whatever you're doing. But evidence in today's world, we use everything for evidence, everything on social media, everything that's been put in writing is fair game, and you don't know what the other side's going to use to when you end up in court. And the best piece of advice is just to be as boring as possible during a divorce or during a court case, because you never know what a judge is going to care about or what the other side. But specifically, don't go and start scorching the earth, on your soon-to-be ex, in social media or in text or in email. Like, it's just mind your P's and Q's, and you'll be better off in the long run.
Yep. Yep. This one's interesting because I think this one people, I don't know, maybe even stumble in by accident, but don't financially support your spouse or children. Um, even if there's not an order to do so.
So you said don't stop financially supporting your spouse
Yeah.
and children? Okay.
Don't stop financially supporting your spouse and children.
Yeah, there's caveats to like the how much. And so, in Oregon, there's calculators for child support, but not for spousal support. So really, that's an important one to work with your attorney on, like how much is reasonable support. But yeah, if you end up, well, one, when a case gets filed, we can get it backdated to that time. And so then you end up with arrears anyway. And so, you look way better in front of the judge if you've been continuing to support. We can deal with everything in the case. But when people start cutting off the other spouse, it looks pretty nasty and it looks bad in front of the court. And judges are humans.
Yeah.
They get to make subjective decisions at times, and our standard in family law is fair and equitable. Well, if you're not being fair, there's going to be a place for where a judge has to make a decision, and they're likely going to be more fair to the other side if you haven't been fair along the way. So the more equitable and fair people are, we get in front of judges, and then it's just solving the problem, and it's not going to backfire in the same way.
Yeah. So the last one on my list And again, this one actually happens. Um, don't buy your girlfriend an engagement ring.
Yes,
You
that's
know,
a good
and
one.
it it seems to me that if you've got a property division and you go out and buy an engagement ring, you know,
Well, it's
who's
the same, and yeah, it's the same analysis with, and again, people do, people could have been separated for a while and but don't go on lavish vacations with a new partner. Don't, because essentially, if you're taking marital funds and you're paying for things outside of the marriage, all of that can get pulled back into a divorce. And so, the best thing to do is just to, stay as financially responsible during the process, and don't be going and paying money for things like an engagement ring for the new girlfriend or new fiance at that point. Like, just wait until the divorce is finalized, then move forward. Then you can move forward with all of that.
yeah. And these are obviously some, I don't want to say exaggerated, but highlighted bad things to do. But it seems to me like they all kind of fit into the do be a thing, which would be reasonable. I mean, it's the importance of being reasonable, I think, can't be understated.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we tell people all the time. The more reasonable both sides are, you're going to get a better outcome and you're going to spend way less money. Like, um, divorces are expensive. And so the more reasonable both parties can be, then as attorneys, we can work through the legal issues. But it's when we've got unreasonable people on one side or the other that causes us to have to use the courts more frequently. And every time we have to use the courts, that's when it gets expensive. When we have to file motions to compel discovery, when we have to file motions to deal with a piece of property or somebody contempt because somebody's not abiding by a previous order, or playing games with the money and the bank accounts, and it just blows everything up. And you took a case that could be a pretty normal, cost effective case, and you just tripled, quadrupled, the fees associated with it because there's just that much more work to do. And then if you're the person, that's being unreasonable, then your ex can ask for attorney fees against you. So then you're paying even more on top of that. So, I mean, the biggest thing in our line of work is the more reasonable and the more people can act like adults, the better it's going to be for them in the long run.
Wow. Well, I guess then the other side of the foot on that is if that happens to you, don't react and do the same thing.
Right. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
hard part.
That's the hard part. It really
That's the
is. And
hard part.
that's why, that's, part of what an attorney does is not just, go to court and do legal stuff. It's to work with that person through these stressful times.
Yeah, 90% of our work is trying to help our clients have an outlet so that they don't have to then react to some of these things that their soon to be ex is doing.
Yeah.
It's the vast majority of what we work with our clients on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, we have come to the end of our time. So, Louis, thank you again for doing this. This is really, really helpful for people to kind of get their questions answered, get their concerns answered. And so thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And everyone, again, thank you for joining us. Anyone with further questions, please feel free to contact our firm. We can get you connected with an attorney who can help you. And so stay safe, stay happy, and be well.